Boker Tov, Yom Tov, Zarim Tovim, and Laila Tov, no matter where you are at. This is Carrie, and I am wanting to speak from my heart today. I wanted to talk about chaos, and I wanted to talk about our now. What I see is that in our now, we have many things that are working at the same time. And now is what we are wanting to actualize. We have our higher self that is full of light and spiritual revelation as a spiritual master. And we also have our lower self, which is full of carnal darkness and ignorance, which would be considered the beast ego, that is the material master. And there are levels and degrees in both directions, 6 above and 6 below. And then we have ourselves as another 6. 666. This is man. Both higher and lower are trying to control and manipulate us. They are that of true mastery in either direction. Potential. But they that are of the true mastery in the now take both the light and dark, the higher and the lower, and bring it into neutrality, into truth, into unconditional love, knowing the potentials, good, evil, which is really duality. They see them, they know them, they have realized them, but they're not being drawn into these narratives because of them. This is the collapsing of the 666 into a single 9. And what do I mean by that? Well, 6 times 3, as the triune being we are, equals the number 18. And in toroidal math, by collapsing to a single digit, 1 plus 8 equals 9. 9 is the number of completion. So as 9, we are no longer separate as a triune entity, but one who has completed the journey by joining and reconstituting into the oneness principle, taking the triune parts and making them into one, as 9, completed. So prior to this work, this is separation, which translates and projects into narratives, which will always seek to divide. Tribal mindset is part of this. Israel, and I'm not referring to the state, but rather the people. It is the name as a summation of all tribes, and it means the just, the upright, as not upside down, those of one instruction that have prevailed. Prevailed over what? Duality. This is truly moving into we are instead of I am. On my walk today, I was mulling over a wrestle that I'm witnessing of one of the beloved, an individual that struggles with borderline personality disorder. What does borderline personality disorder do? They push and pull at the same time, and they tend to self-sabotage relationships. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. Hence why I'm wanting to share from my heart today. We have all done this, and we've lived in this disorder. Dis meaning without, and dis without order. All of us. It's very bipolar in nature. And that's the way duality runs. If you discriminate, I like and I don't like, I like this and I don't like that, choosing sides and narratives, judging of any sort, then this is part of BPD. Because you are pushing and pulling at the exact same time. When you meet someone, Do you see them as yourself? These are questions that I ask me. As you see them initially, it's really how you see yourself. So if you judge externally and push them away because you're discriminating, like or dislike, I want to draw near or repel through judging and discerning, then you are in this place of a borderline personality disorder, and you are really rejecting yourself at the root of it. I like you if. Well, that is love, or a part of love that has conditions. The call is love. Love without conditions. You know, even external love has discriminations based upon like or dislike. So really the call of what we are entering into is a higher love. That is the love without conditions. This is light. Light is information, which is love without conditions. It is. There is no need to choose narratives or take sides, separate and divide, or even being emotionally attached to it in any shape or form, as it just is. Raining on the just and the unjust is light. Light does not discriminate. Look at the sun. When it shines light, it shines on everything. Only the material creates shadow. So why darkness? So you can see the absence of light that shines and does not discriminate. Darkness conceals and makes things very hard to see. And living in darkness is discrimination of the light. Judging, dividing, and separating through a tribal mindset. You are like me, or you are not. I like those who are like me, and I push those who are not away from me. That is darkness, ignorance, and of the night. Some say we must have discernment and that it is necessary. Well, that would be the case if we are operating within duality and choose to partake of narratives as Elohim, which is the plural form of God. So, as the gods, which we are, gods and goddesses as Elohim, within this room of dueling, which I said intentionally, dueling and duality, we are creating narratives for all of us to experience within this inverted matrix system of duality, so we can choose between either. This is the system of free will. But free will is also dual, because that would mean the opposite would exist as well, to not have free will, to not be free and have choices taken away. To choose or not to choose is duality. Sovereignty, on the other hand, is. Only those who exist within the system of duality have free will, which equates to the system of duality. Let's take a look at the word discernment. I actually had somebody say that they were saddened that I was speaking about not using discernment. But like I said, I see that as being very necessary in the system of duality. Because in the system of duality, boundaries must be set. And until we rise above that, until we rise above duality, the boundaries will be necessary. When we all find that place of unconditional love, boundaries will need to no longer exist. Because boundaries are really those who are on the inside or the outside of the boundary set, which is duality. We all haven't arrived at unconditional love yet. Some of us are still in darkness and ignorance. So discernment in the 1580s meant keenness of intellectual perception, insight, and acuteness of judgment. And it's from in the 1680s meant as an act of perceiving by the intellect. Penetration or insight goes to the heart of a subject and reads the inmost character. Discrimination marks the difference in what it finds. Discernment combines both of these ideas. When I want to take it back to the Hebrew word for discernment, it is the word bayin. And as its primitive root, it means to separate mentally or distinguish, generally to understand. When I look closer, this word for discernment has a fallen noon at the end of it, which means the fallen world, the world of the material that is dual by design. So I could actually say it differently. Through the letters and what I see means building by the power within through distinguishing and discriminating in the system of duality so that we can understand the world we live in. Truly, the truth through light and love is to overstand duality and not be under it by understanding it, insight. So through discernment, we are shoring up the system of duality by continuing to discriminate, which continues to divide and never unites. Why unite? To unite is bringing everything into one. And as I ponder this, uniting is neutrality, bringing everything into one without discrimination. It is seeing the potentials and yet choosing the static position and not getting pulled into narratives in either direction, which then takes the static position and puts it into kinetic energy form. And that's when we attach ourselves to it and become emotionally invested into it. Kinetic energy is what the Elohim do and use to create narratives. This is what we've all done. When we can truly see all that we have done, we then can take responsibility for it and be accountable for our actions in what we created. And then we can do something about it by neutralizing it into the light, truth, and love, and no longer add our creative energy and emotion into these narratives, because it is through that that we put them into motion. I wanted to bring one more thing up as I'm pondering this. I've shared these words before, but I really feel that it needs to be brought into this, in the system of duality and discriminations, to be able to bring forth the point of what neutralizing something looks like. The word Hallel, which means light, and Lila, which means night, are the same exact Hebrew letters, but they're in a different order. Hillel was translated as Lucifer through the Latin Vulgate, and it stuck in all of the translations. A Latin word for something that originated in Hebrew. Lucifer, how you have fallen. This would be the light, how you have fallen. The light has fallen into the night, into ignorance. Without this occurring, we would be in ignorance, as light has been meant to be partnered with in the night so that we can bring it into a neutral position as is, no longer separating it. If you just went sideways in your mind by what I just said, it is because you have attached to a narrative, to the information, and are emotionally invested in it, into the narrative you have created for yourself to live in as Elohim. All I'm doing is just presenting information here I'm not attaching any emotion or any narrative to it. It just is information. It just is light. These two words for night and light contain the same information, but they do present themselves differently through the order that they are seen. Hallel, Hey Yod Lamed Lamed, or Lila, Lamed Yod Lamed Hey. They are really one and the same when you neutralize them as being the same. In the first word, Hillel, light, the two lameds are standing right next to each other. Hillel is the revealing of the power that comes by coming together. Hillel is the word for light, Latin for Lucifer. Light equates to information for inward formation, which is love without conditions, meaning love that is not divided, as it is connected side by side without separation, but yet is still one, and is still as unique. This is really the one that makes up the many, who are all unique. So now let's move to the second word, Lila. Now the two lameds are divided by a single yod. And this shows that the lameds are now no longer standing next to one another, and power has divided them. This is the word for night. This is what equates to ignorance. Both of these lameds represent authority within the heart level, but now they've been separated. But they're the same exact letter. This is what ignorance and night does. It takes that which is the same and divides through the power and authority in the system of duality. I am right and you are wrong, and vice versa. This is insanity, truly. Mental illness, borderline personality disorders, because they are the same letter. Your actions reveal if you are of the night, if you participate in this insanity duality, which is dueling in nature within the narratives that we have all created. So what does insane mental illness narratives do? Well, they paint Hallel, light, as opposing, which is light, truth, and love, and bring it over into the night, which is ignorance and separation, converting it into a nature built upon fear, discrimination, deception, and ignorance, and even worse than that. And this ignorance gives our creator power from the inside over to it. This is insanity. It is the same letters. It is the exact same thing. But you as a creator chose a narrative that divides and separates it, casts shadows upon each other through narratives that keep dividing when it's our own shadow, Lila, night, ignorance that needs to be reconciled and neutralized through the light, Hillel, bringing it together, revealing to you the power of unifying and drawing near. Sane is seeing that we are the same instead of opposing, using our power to divide and separate, creating more discrimination. Insanity is the nature of the beast ego, of the night. Sane is the nature of the transmuted ego, of the light that draws near and neutralizes separation into unity, where united we stand, but divided we fall into great darkness, ignorance. Let's take it one step further. Both of these words contain twin lamets. The lamet is a very special letter. It is considered the heart and the center of the Hebrew and Aramaic alphabets, and stands higher than all the rest. It is a letter that represents authority, teaching, and learning, and is a picture closely related to a shepherd's crook, which in the meaning of this letter is meant to urge, goad, prick, and incite. It is also the first letter of the Hebrew word for heart, leb, lamed bet, which means, through the letters, authority that is on the inside of us, our heart. These twin teachings, these twin staffs of authority, are meant to build our heart, our inward authority within, not head knowledge, but true experiential knowledge that affects our emotional state of being, the inward man. So, by uniting these authorities within us, the twin lights, the twin staffs of learning through mother and father, it is truly building us the inward man that now has authority, not from above or below, but in our now, learning and understanding within the heart, uniting, joining, not just head knowledge. This brings us out of the ignorant place. This brings us out of the place of separation of higher and lower, of the masters of above and the masters of below, into the place of knowing, so that we can see the vanity of separation and the power of unification, neutralizing all the narratives that pit my power against yours, but uniting in the celebration of one authority, one truth, and one light, love unified, that has been made unconditional as is. This is the revelation of the power of the light. So in summary, to end chaos, we must rise out of it and find oneness within, reconciling the night and the light within us, neutralizing it and bringing it to 0 point. No longer dual in nature, no longer dueling within or without, with a higher illuminated state. No longer dueling in nature with a higher illuminated state or a lower ignorant state, and not connecting or being emotionally invested into the narratives that we have all created through our Elohim power. We just bring them into the now as is. Truth is light. Light is love. Light is. We are the night and the light as one, neutralized, alchemized, the many as one, as El, God, one authority as one truth, no longer having shadow of turning, because it is our now. We are as is, as light and love. This is my perspective, what I've been thinking about that I wanted to share with you today. It is my hope with an expectancy that this will assist and we will see this made manifest. Shalom, shalom, and namaste.